Thank you for tuning in to another video. So, I'm going to throw a little disclaimer in right now. Yes, I bought eBay lower control arms, and as soon as I was done with the last video, I literally took the EG outside and did a pull. Well, I didn't even do a pull. I pulled up onto the road, and the lower control arm on the driver's side ripped off. So the lower control arms come with a little C-clip where the ball joint goes. I don't know if they didn't include the C-clip or if I just didn't pay attention and see that it wasn't there. But as soon as I pulled out onto the road, the ball joint fell out of the lower control arm, and you can see the fender is now poking out. I had to go run down the street, get the jack, get the juke, jack the car up, pull the ball joint apart, put a washer under the ball joint so that it now fits in the control arm again. And the wheel has a little scratch on the inside of it. Of course, the axle fell apart. I just shoved it back together and drove it back home after I got it, you know, so the wheel was staying on. So, for safety reasons, I am going to purchase a set of factory stock steel control arms with brand new bushings. And I also purchased polyurethane upgraded bushings so that I won't have any safety concerns with this car. That was kind of a eye-opener. It's kind of scary. I literally pulled out onto the road out of my driveway, which if you guys haven't paid attention in the videos, our driveway is a stone driveway. So literally you have to drive up the side of the hill to get out of the stone driveway. And the car was driving fine. I literally drove up on the road, pulled out. As soon as I passed our trash cans, the car was driving fine. I literally turned in the neighbor's driveway, which is one house over, and literally turned around to come back to the house, and the wheel fell off. Literally, it ripped the steering wheel out of my hand. I thought we were crashing into the field, which my next field next to me is a field full of corn, so I thought we were going to go out through the cornfield. Gladly, I was only in first gear. I had just turned around, so nothing happened really damage-wise. I'm just gonna have to source a new fender. Those fenders, the only reason I really like them is because they look kind of beat up, so it gave the car, you know, the beat up look, and they were perfect. There was no dents in them or nothing. But yeah, just an eye-opener on buying eBay parts, especially suspension-based eBay parts. Yeah, it was scary. Like, literally, if you guys have ever been in a crash or anything, when it rips the steering wheel out of your hand and you just have no control over the car, you can only do one of two things. You can either let go of the brakes and let go of the gas, or hit the brakes and try to hold the steering wheel. A lot of people say don't do that because you will literally break your wrist. Like I said, if you're going fast. I was only in first gear, so I actually used the brakes and the steering wheel and slowed the car down and literally stopped the car. But as you see, it did damage the fender and everything. So yeah, we'll be holding off on the front suspension or driving it or dynoing it until I get a factory steel lower control arm back on the car. It'll still drive with the washer that's on there. I just don't trust it. I don't want it to fall apart if we're at the track or on the road and cause me to crash the car for no reason at all. But now that I'm done with my little rant, because it really scared me, let me show you what I've been working on. So I ordered this ASR style subframe brace. I installed it without videoing it because it came with no instructions, and I looked up online how to install it, and it wasn't clear because they say that there's supposed to be bolts inside the frame rails that you actually bolt it to, and my car doesn't have those bolts. So it comes with these little adapter pieces, which they're hard to see because they're up in the frame rail. And what you have to do on this car didn't even have the holes. So I had to drill 2 holes to locate it and then put it on. So this is literally just a chassis brace. It has nothing to do with it. And as you see, it has control arms and everything on the car. The bushings are good. And another thing I noticed once I got the car back here and up on the lift is that this rear suspension arm, the bolts were actually too long, so I could actually push up and down on the bushing. That is kind of sketchy. So I took them off and I found washers and I spaced it properly. So now that it matches the passenger side. But I'm already talking 4 minutes into the video, and now let's actually get to what this video is about. So for the last 2 to 3 hours, I have been working on my rust. As you see, the rust is fixed right there. The rust is fixed right there. So what I did is cut out the patch panel, laid the patch panel underneath it, and then weld it. But when I cut out the patch panel, I used the old fender like I was explaining before, and I made sure that I cut on this body line right here. As you see, I did a test one, and then I cut the two that I actually wanted for the car. I made sure I cut on the body line here so that it actually lines up. If you notice, you know, the old one, I don't know how well you can see on the video, but there's an angle to it. Here's my test one I cut out just to make sure I could cut it easily. You know, I got my Lincoln welder out and I literally just got to welding. I didn't video this side. I just wanted to make sure I could, you know, get it at least somewhat how I want it to be before I bodywork it. I can literally sand this down and you know, bodywork over it, and you should never be able to tell. There is a couple little pinholes that I missed welding. I'll fix that before I do body work, but I at least wanted to show you somewhat of the process and what you do and how you do. So I know this video is going to be mostly talking, but at least I'm going to show you the rust repair. And here is the next piece, and as you see, I have it ground down pretty nicely, and this literally fits right in here, and then I'll just weld it in place. And if you guys notice, I did re-weld the bumper support bracket that actually, you know, secures the bumper to the car, so that once I get a new bumper for the car, I can bolt it back in the original location. I kept the bracket in the little plastic piece in there, so there should be no issues with that. But let me put you guys on a time lapse. This video until the end will probably just be a time lapse of me working on this, and hope you guys enjoy. As always, stay safe. If you buy eBay parts, check them out before you put them on the car. One simple C-clip missing caused me to crash the car and break the front control arm, and you know, whatever. It could have been a lot worse. I'm safe. The car's pretty safe. I just need a new fender and control arms. But let me throw you guys on the time lapse and hopefully get this thing rust free. Well, guys, after that long experience on the time lapse, I'm going to speed it up so it just doesn't take so long. It's basically a ton of cutting, a ton of trimming, a ton of cutting, grinding, trimming, grinding, trimming, cutting. And there you go, little patch panel. So that is no body work at all. There is no Bondo, no nothing over top of it. Of course, I will grind it down a little bit more. Get a nice layer of Bondo filler over it. Not to cover up the rust, just to smooth out the side of the car. This is replaced. Like I said, trunk lid. This one will need a little more body work. And yeah, like I said, the progress on this car has been pretty good. We've got our steering wheel and everything in there. Fans wired up. Everything is ready. Definitely, like I said, upset about the fender. But at least I'm safe and alive. I'm not really too worried about it. But it was kind of sad situation. Literally, I pulled out of my driveway and the control arm fell apart. That's just sketchy. So if you guys have those types of control arms, check for the C-clip that goes under the ball joint. So you guys don't have a similar accident. But this is what's left of the driver fender. This is the Chinese fender. This is not a stock fender. As you see here, like I was saying earlier, I used this crease. Of course, I didn't use the one with the dent in it, but I used this crease to mimic the body line right here. And I feel like I did a pretty good job. It looks like the body line continues pretty decently on that side. And this side's not as good, but that was my test one. I did this one off a video. This is how I was setting up the welder, figuring out exactly what technique I wanted to go with, and it came out all right. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I don't know how long it is at this point. Like I said, right now we're just getting the car in bodywork condition, at least straight, no rust, fixing everything. The GSR is still sitting here under the cover. The K-Series is still sitting over there. The Integra is up in the sky now because we brought the green Accord inside. We've been moving cars around. We're going to be getting rid of a few soon. None of the projects, just extra scrap cars we have. So, got to streamline and clean up the Yoast built garage parking lot outside. But if you guys enjoyed this video, give Yoast built a thumbs up, subscribe, and share the video with a friend if you have not done that so far. Hope you guys have a good night, and as always, you guys are the greatest.